My name is John Chaskiel. I was born in Częstochowa in year 1929. World War II broke out. I was just under 10 years old. I missed everything. The place was a wreck. The Nazis bombed our town and everybody had to work. What was the work? We had to clean the rubble and digging out dead bodies. This went on for about 6 or 7 months. And middle of 1940, I went back to school. I stayed in school for about 2 weeks. And out of the blue, the teacher comes over and he says, "You better go home. There's no more education for Jewish children." So I went home. We were a family of 7 children, and Mom and Dad. 4 of the older ones were working in different towns. They were not home with us. I was home with Mom and Dad, a younger sister and a younger brother. End of 1940, an accident happened. A German soldier was riding a motorbike, and he got killed. The rumors went out, the Jews have killed a German soldier. So what is the penalty? The penalty is 10 Jews had to be hung in the city square. So the Nazis and the Jewish leaders went around, picked up 10 elderly people, prepared the gallows to be hung. And as we were living around the corner from the gallows there, one of the Gestapo men with the Jewish policemen walks into our home and said to my father, "You Jew, you're going to come out and hang the 10 Jews. So my father blankly refused. He said, "No, I cannot go out and hang the Jews because my uncle is amongst them." The Gestapo man took out his gun and started bashing him. He started pulling him. He says, "Come out and hang the Jews." He says, "No." Then he took his gun and he shot him. As he shot him, we could not go near the body. And we waited for about 10 minutes. Then the Gestapo man kicked him again, lifted up his arm, dropped it. You could see the body is dead. He was lying in a pile of blood. And he walked out. Then we went across to the body. And we had a little cry. And Mom said, "Dad is gone. What are we going to do?" So Mom said, "Go on next door, ask the neighbor to lend you his 4-wheel cart and tell him to come and help you, and you put that on the cart, and you wheel him out to the cemetery." So I wheeled him out to the cemetery with my little sister. There were people working there, and they helped me dig a grave. We dug that grave. It took us about 4 hours. I came home with my sister. Mom wasn't allowed to go, and my little brother wasn't allowed to go. So we came home. We had a little cry, and Mom said to me, "From now on, you're the head of the house." So I said, "Mom, I can't." She says, "Yes, you can." All right. Life went on. Mom said, "Dad is gone. Our life's got to go on." So she gave me a basket and some money to go out and do a bit of shopping. So I went out and did the shopping, bought some bread and some veggies. Came home. Just before I got to the house, trucks were driving around picking up young people. So I happened to be picked up amongst them as well. So Mom did not get the fruit, Mom did not get the bread, nothing. I was picked up and sent to a slave labor camp called Poznan. I was sent to Poznan. I have not seen my mother and my sister and my brother since. I worked there for about 15 months or so. Our work was building roads from Poznan into Germany to Frankfurt. So out of the blue, the foreman, he wasn't a bad guy. I was the youngest one there. He picked me up. He gave me 5 Deutschmark. And he says, I want you to go to the station and buy me cigarettes and chocolate. So I asked him, where's the station? So he says, you walk down there about 2 kilometers and you'll see a station there in the canteen. You go and you buy me the cigarettes. Okay. I walked up to the station. And as I got to the station, I see a tram loaded with wood, open carriages. So I had to make up my mind and I said to myself, if I go back, I'm a dead body. If I run away, maybe I'll survive. So I decided I did not buy the cigarettes, I did not buy his chocolate. I took this 5 Deutschmark and I hopped on the tram and we went on. We arrived at a place called Kalisz. In the evening it was dark. I got off about 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. I walked around town, couldn't see anybody, couldn't see any Jewish people, couldn't see any yellow stars. So I kept on walking and walking and walking. I arrived to a family there. I walked into that family. And I said, could you please help me? I'm hungry. And he said to me, oh, sorry, we cannot help Jewish people. So I said, but I am not Jewish. I'm a Catholic. I went and crossed myself, and I did the Polish prayer. And he said to me, oh, if you're a Catholic, so how come you're here? I said, you might not believe me, but it's true what I'm telling you. My father was a drunkard. He came home, and he started beating Mom up. He started beating us up. So I ran away from home. So they believed me. And they took me in, they gave me some food, and I went to sleep. But I could not go to sleep because I was frightened. If they want to find out whether I'm Jewish or not, it's very easy. All they had to do was ask me to pull my pants down. They can see I'm circumcised, that I'm a Jew. But they didn't. So about 4 o'clock in the morning, I made my way out. They were still asleep. Made my way back to my hometown in Weilun. So I walked and hitchhiked. I arrived in Lodz. Again, I could not see any Jews. I couldn't see any yellow stars. So I approached a non-Jewish person there. I asked him, tell me, where are all the Jews here? So he says, if you walk down about 900 meters, you see barbed wire and guards. This is where the ghetto is. Sure enough, I walked up and I see the guard there. I approached him and I said, could I go in? He says, no, you can't go in. I said, but I'm a Jew. He looks at me. He says, you're not Jewish? He says, yes, I'm a Jew. Where's your yellow star? I says, I've lost it. So he believed me. He opened the gate and I got into the ghetto. As I walked in, I walked about 100 meters or so. I see a lady walking with a child. I approached her and I was crying. I says, Madam, please help me. I'm on my own. I've got nobody. I just ran away from a camp. She says, where are you from? I says, from Weilun. So she said, all right, my child, come in. She took me into a place and gave me some food, and it was nice there. I felt at home, sort of. In 1944, because the Germans decided that they're going to evacuate the ghetto, and they drove around with big trucks, loudspeakers, telling that everybody's going deep into Germany, we're going to work, we're going to take all the machinery, and it's going to be very good there. But we did not go into Germany, we did not go into work. We went to a place called Birkenau, Auschwitz. We arrived in Birkenau, we could hear the screams from the Germans, Raus, raus, Jude, out, out, Jew, and the dogs were barking. So as we got out, they start screaming, men on one side, women on the other side, and children. So I was already a man, so I went on the side where the men were. I stood in line there. As I stood in line, I can say luck was with me. One of the Sonderkommandos working there, he approached me and he says, "Do you know me?" I says, "No, I don't know you." He says, "But I am a friend of your older brother." So I just jumped up and said, "Is my older brother here?" He said, "No, your brother is not here, but I used to go to school with him." So he gave me his name, and he gave me a piece of bread, and he gave me a little gold chain, and he said, "Keep that in case you might need this." So, but he said to me, "Be very careful when you approach that Nazi murderer over there, which is Dr. Mengele. When he asks you your age, tell him that you're 17 years old." And he asked me, "How old are you?" in German. So I said, "I'm 17 years old." He asked me again, "How old are you?" 17. He points his finger like that. So when he points his finger to the right, that means I'm going to live. Had he pointed his finger to the left, I wouldn't be here telling you the story. So as I was picked up to go to work, we were picked up in groups of 45, 50. We were put into the barracks, and they gave us a bit of soup. They call it soup. I call it a bit of liquid because it was worse than dishwater. But we had to survive on this. Being in there about a week, they decided that they're gonna send us to work. So before sending us to work, they had to tattoo a number on our arms, which my number is B7584. B7584, and from that moment on, I was no more John Chaskiel. I was not a human being. I wasn't even a dog. I was just a number. We knew in Auschwitz that there were gas chambers there already. When we were in Birkenau, we could see across the chimneys, and the soot from the chimneys was on our uniforms, so we could see that. And people told us that over there, when you look across there, you see the great big gas chambers. That's where people getting gassed and then getting cremated. We knew already then. In 44, we knew already. I had a very good job in Auschwitz. My job was sweeping the camp from 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 at night. And as I was sweeping, Auschwitz was a lot of non-Jewish people there. They saw me sweeping, so they threw me across a piece of bread as well, because they used to get parcels from home. The Poles or the Belgians or the French, they used to get parcels. Well, Jews didn't get nothing because Jews had nobody. So they saw a young child like me, so they gave me something, which it helped me. So doing this sort of work till end of 1944, end of 1904, the Germans decided they're going to evacuate Auschwitz again. Why? Because the Russians were approaching from the east, and they're going to send us in deep into Germany again to work. But we did not go in deep into Germany again. We went on a place called the Dead March. The Dead March, we were put in groups of about 5,000 or 6,000 people. As we were marching, freezing cold, boils, bruises, diarrhea, no clothes. I had a pair of wooden clothes and had that striped uniform. This was my clothes. And if I wanted something to eat, I had to bend down, pick up a bit of snow. This was my food for about 5 or 6 days. And the ones who could not make it, they got shot. And there were the squad behind us with the trucks. They shoved them on the trucks, threw them into the forest, they put a bit of petrol over them and burned them. So when we arrived at a place called Loslau, again, they started packing us in like sardines onto the wagons. Let's say a wagon, they put in 3 or 4 cows. We were packed in about 200 of us. Standing room, there was no sitting room, nothing. So this went on for about 3 days until we arrived at a place called Weimar near Buchenwald. We arrived in Weimar and said, everybody out. As we got out, we could see bodies falling, one on top of the other. We didn't know that they were dead. We arrived in Buchenwald. It was freezing cold. The first thing is they said, everybody take their clothes off. He's going to have a shower. So we thought, well, this is it. showered again, we're going to be guests. But there were people there who were inmates, and they said, don't worry, you're not going to be guests here. Buchenwald is a political camp, which Buchenwald had French, Italian, Russians, Poles, Gypsies, Hungarians, Spaniards, all nationalities were there, but the majority were Jewish people. And they gave us new uniforms, which is the stripes, and we were sent into a block 66. It was a children block. In that block there were between 450 and 500 children. We did not work there because the people were very nice to us. The inmates, they were very good. The children, they looked after us like anything. And we did not go out to the Appellplatz, like to the square to be counted, nothing. Every day we had our portion bread, we had our portion soup, and this went on till the 10th of April, 1945. The 10th of April, 7 o'clock in the morning, over the loudspeaker comes across, all the Jews out to the assembly. So we had to march out. If we were children or not, we had to march out to the assembly. We stood at the assembly there till about midday. We could see the Nazis are sort of moving away. We didn't know what it was, but we could hear tanks, aeroplanes, shooting and everything, but we didn't take any notice. We didn't know what it was. And 12 o'clock, one of the couple from the Buchenwald, he was an inmate, and he says, everybody back to the barracks. So we ran back into the barracks, and we were hiding under the floors, on top of the roof, wherever we could find a place to hide, because we were frightened. And this went on to the next day, 3:15 in the afternoon, the Americans came in, they liberated us. We were the first people to see the Americans, so they gave us chocolates and they gave us conserved meats, those tins of meat, which the worst thing they could have done is giving us that meat, because our stomach could not digest this. A lot of us got diarrhea, was sick, and a lot of boys died from it. Then they realized what they did, so they started burning bread like charcoal, and they said, eat that, and this will help you. So we started eating that bread, which did help us after a few days. It helped us. They took us out from Block 66, put us into the quarters where the Nazis were living. Everybody had already a bed with a blanket and a cushion, and we had normal food. This went on till about 10th or the 12th of May, 1945. 12th of May, 1945, the Swiss Red Cross came across, and they said they want to take all the children to Switzerland. The Swiss Red Cross and the government said to us, boys, you can stay here if you like. You're welcome to become citizens. Or if you just want to go, the door is open. You can go wherever you like. So out of about 400 of us, half of the group decided they want to go to Palestine. And a lot of them went to America, and a lot of them went to Canada and Argentina, and about 55 of us, we stayed on. Then a man, I don't know whether he was Australian or not, he came and started talking to us. He said, I want you to become religious because I've got a good country for you people. So we said, what is the country? He says, Australia. So then we decided we're going to go to work. So for me, it was easy to get a job. Being a finished motor mechanic, I was living in Burke Camberwell, in Camberwell Junction. There was a garage there, and I walked in there. I says, me work, me motor mechanic. That's what I could speak English. So he looks at me, he says, what language do you speak? I said, I can speak German, I can speak Yiddish, I can speak Polish, I can speak French. So there was a guy there, a Frenchman, and he called him across, and he examined me and he asked me in French, what did you learn? I told him I learned as a motor mechanic. I finished in Switzerland, I showed him the certificate, and he said to the boss, yes, he's a motor mechanic, so I worked. First thing he gave me is to clean the motors. I said, all right, clean motors, what's the difference? Work is work. Then while I was cleaning the motor, so I started the car, and the car wouldn't start. So I said to him, boss, me fix? That's all I could speak. He says, yes, you fix. So I fixed the car as well, and the car started. Then you could see that I'm a little bit of a mechanic, and he paid me £6 a week. So I'm working there for about 6 months or so. I looked around. I approached somebody else in Richmond. There was a Yugoslav, he had a garage there, and I went up to him and I said, look, I'm a mechanic. I said, can you give me a job? He said, sure. I said, how much will you pay me? He says, I'll give you £12 the first week, and if you're good, we give you more. So I thought, from £6 to £12 is good money. So I started working. After 2 weeks, I was earning £25 a week. I approached Mr. and Mrs. Alexander in Eyewitness Street, North Carlton. I lived there, full board and lodge. I paid £2 a week for full board and lodge, and I had £23 in my pocket. We started going out dancing on a Friday night. Friday night we started going out. There's a place called Trocadero. There were no Jewish people there. There were non-Jewish girls there. And we started dancing, and the dancing was the barn dance. We didn't know what the barn dance was. So, but we managed. We hopped around here and there, and we started speaking a little bit English. We started going out with non-Jewish girls. And then the Jewish Welfare Society found out that we going out with non-Jewish girls. They said, it's not nice for you boys. You start going out with Jewish girls. So we asked them, where do we meet the Jewish girls? So they said, if you go on a Sunday night to Meissen Deluxe, you meet up with Jewish girls. 1951, I met up an Australian-born girl. Her name is Rosie. And I married her. I approached her and I married her. My wife's parents were to me my own parents, because I've lost my parents. I was young, and they were my parents till they died. We meet, every year we meet on the 11th of April. 2 years ago, I decided with a friend of mine, and we said, let's do something, not for us, but for our children, for our children's children. Let's put a monument up at the cemetery. So I called a meeting, and everybody says, yes. We built that monument, which is a chimney, and everybody's family's name is on the thing there, and the ones who died here got separate plaques there as well. And every 11th of April we meet, we go there, we have a yiskel, we make a kala rachmim, and we say Kaddish, and this is our meeting. And then during the year we meet up as well. When I die, there'll be nobody to tell the stories. So I want people to know what went on. Well, if we're not going to talk about it, we're going to forget about it. And we don't want them to forget. We don't want our children to forget. We don't want our grandchildren to forget. My message to the children is, one thing to remember, hate is a disease. It's cancer. It's spreading. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like your neighbor. But do not hate. Tolerate, regardless of the religion, the skin, the color of the people. We're living in a beautiful country. The country is big enough to hold not only us, but another 10 million people. So let's live in peace and let's work together like human beings.